Hey, everyone. My name is Andrew Hall, but you may call me Dr. Kennard. News stories we're doing today. Tennessee in 69. Yeah, they're the same story. 69 in Tennessee. French free speech, cyberbullying, death threats in Islam is our second story. The New Jersey man who cried out the N-word. He got arrested. It's a bit more complicated than that. And Fox News weather? Is that a real thing? Yes, that's actually a real thing. Fox News, they're looking to break into the weather business. Everyone, 24-hour streaming weather misinformation from Fox News. That's going to be coming up. If we get to these different stories, we're going to talk about what's going on in Wisconsin and the GOP wanting to do a recount there, or an audit, or an observation, or however you want to say, trying to overturn an election. You want to do something funny? We should do something funny. But before this, I want to say hello to people who are watching on Facebook. You will notice, if this is your first time, that I am communicating with the chat quite a bit. I can only see the chat on YouTube. If you want to join in on the fun, head on over to YouTube. Join the chat. All right. Let's do a couple of jokes. Let's do something funny.
Why are you home? Did they let you off work early? Well, you left work in the middle of your shift, didn't you? Well, yeah, I did. Why'd you leave this time? It was just the vibe was off. That's not an excuse at all. I know, but at least I'm being honest. Like, that's literally why I left. What was your excuse last week? Well, that was the day I got a Lego set, and I wanted to come home and build the Lego set. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
All right, before I start saying hello to everyone in the stream, if you didn't see my unboxing video last night, I'm going to show you what was in the box, though you should see the video. I mean, it was a pretty good video. But here it is. This is from Dee Parks. She sent it over. It is a frog drinking a little bottle of Corona right here. It's a frog. He's having a grand old time. Like I said, I made an unboxing video last night. Posted it. And now I'm going to put this little guy right up here, right by the Donald Kagan's the Peloponnesian War, right? I think that's a good place for him. All right, everyone. I'm going to see what's going on in the chat this morning. Good morning, John Hudson. Dr. Mordecai here early this morning. Freestyle rapping, maybe? Freestyle, dropping some rhymes down? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff there from Dr. Mordecai early. John Hudson, once again, hello. Simply Secular Dave, glad to see that you're here. Samy Jenkins. It's late where Samy Jenkins is, everyone. He's in Australia. It's late at night. Jessi Bear, good morning. And John Hudson says, I take fentanyl with my Adderall. It's all about balance. That's good. Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom. And Jessi Bear, thank you for reminding me and anyone who's watching to hit the like button. What's in the box? I see what you did there, Tesla Ranger. I see what you did there. Seven, the movie Seven. Scott Duke, glad to see that you are here, sir. All right. So like I said, we got a bunch of crazy stories, a good amount of stuff about free speech today. And you want to do some memes? Let's do a couple of memes before diving into and once again, thanks to Dee Parks for the frog. It's pretty cool. Let's do some memes. How I sleep knowing food is hella delicious, and I get to eat more of it tomorrow. Oh, cat. It's a great looking cat, everyone, isn't it? Huh? All right, two more memes. The dog's reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, and the cat is reading The Art of War, the classic from Sun Tzu. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. The Art of War. Do I have a copy of The Art of War somewhere back there? I think I do. Yeah, I do. Somewhere back there. And the feline travert. Feline travert, a person who prefers the company of cats over people. All right. Feline travert. All right, I should have practiced that. Saying that before the show, but I didn't. One more time in the chat. Hey, Dragons in Genesis, how you doing? Dee Parks, Sun Tzu, yes. Tesla Ranger. Well, I think the Tzu is the T. I think you pronounce it if I remember correctly, but I'm not sure. All right, first news story about Tennessee. Yeah, this is unless you know this story, you're not. Yeah, it's a tale of state incompetence, lighthearted laughter, and the state doing stupid things. Tennessee woman sues state officials for revoking her 69 vanity plate. Nashville's Leah Gilliam says her vanity plate is protected by the First Amendment. And there it is, everyone. There's the plate. It's 69 PWNDU. I believe the links are in the description below. 10 years ago, Leah Gilliam of Nashville purchased a vanity license plate which reads 69 PWNDU. She claims it's quite innocent, merely a mashup of her passions for space travel and gaming. 69 for the 1969 moon landing plus PWND, meaning to be completely annihilated or dominated, with reference to a devastating video game defeat. It was all fun and games until Gilliam received a threatening letter from Tennessee state officials in May, requiring that she return her plates, lest she be rendered unable to renew her vehicle registration. After a decade of driving with them affixed to her car, the state had deemed her novelty plates offensive. Okay, so Tennessee gave this woman her plates, Leah her plates, for 10 years. And now, since Tennessee has solved all of the state's problems, they've resolved every single issue in the state, they've decided that they have to start taking care of the potentially perverted license plate issue. But Gilliam will not give up her 69 PWNDU without a fight. Last Monday, she sued the commissioner of the Tennessee Department of Revenue and the state's attorney general for allegedly violating her First Amendment rights. According to her lawsuit, the summary revocation of Ms. Gilliam's vanity plate. Ms. Gilliam's free speech carries surpassing importance because loss of First Amendment freedoms for even minimal periods of times constitutes irreparable injury. I love that. Irreparable injury. We're taking away the 69 license plate. In a statement, her attorney, Daniel A. Horowitz, upheld that the First Amendment forbids the government from discriminating against citizens based on the viewpoints they express. Ms. Gilliam's harmless vanity plate is transparently protected by the First Amendment. But while Tennessee is cracking down on a decade-old indecency, Colorado is taking quite a different approach to risque vanity plates. In April, the state's Department of Motor Vehicles auctioned off 14 marijuana-related vanity plates with bong, green, and herb all up for grabs. So while Tennessee is telling its citizens, you can't have fun with vanity plates, Colorado, it's actually making money from pot-related, from marijuana-related plates. The auction ended on April 21st. Some received upward of 150 bids, with ISIT 420. Is it 420? Being sold for $6,630, the highest amount. I want to know. I want to talk to the person who got Is It 420? Must be a brilliant person. Proceeds were donated to the Colorado Disability Funding Committee. A second 420 auction is reportedly in the works for 2022, proving some states have a better sense of humor and a sense of the sense for the First Amendment than others. It seems like Colorado's making bank. They were making what, $20 million a month off the sales, off tax revenue from marijuana, $20 million a month, and now they're auctioning off plates, pot-related plates. Brilliant. Well done, Colorado. Tennessee, what are you doing? Too much Jesus in Tennessee, everyone. Too much Jesus. Alan, it's great to see you. Tennessee has solved all important major issues in their state. Amazing feat. Now they can fix those really important things like license plates. Yes. Let's see. If Dragons Genesis says, if the kids understand it is the joke, it's too late to protect them from knowing about it. That's a good point, Dragons. Because obviously they know about it. Yeah. I had 4 vanity plates. John Hudson says I had 4 play as vanity plates for round 5 before the state of Utah. Oh, really? Said they wouldn't renew your 4 play, John Hudson. That sounds horrible. You could have sued him. You could have sued him for First Amendment. All right. Well, this is Dragons and Genesis, who does a great show. We're a lot of tongue twisters, I imagine he has to pronounce. He suggests always practice difficult pronunciations before you go live or hit record. Wise choice. And Dr. Mordecai, 69, the indoor sport. Oh, John Hudson, I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Free speech has cost me a fortune, you know. Court costs and attorney fees. All right. Hey, Neil, I just want to say this about Neil, and I'm not telling tales out of school. Neil, I believe, posted this, and I hope you're doing well, Neil. I hope you're doing well. Neil has some medical issues going on, and they were caught early, and looks like they're going to be resolved pretty within a couple of weeks. But Neil, I'm glad that you're still with us, alive. And if my pleasant thoughts and feelings, if they meant anything in terms of medicinal sense, in you being healthy, you know what I'm trying to say awkwardly, right? You know what I'm trying to say. Dragons Genesis says, Sammy Jenkins, PWND comes from video games. When you defeat someone, you say you own them. So people shortened it to owned, but people accidentally typed P instead of O. I think it was the 69 aspect of it. Neil says, yes. So there was a big blood clot in Neil's leg. Now, if you don't know Neil, the 604 atheist, I think everyone knows Neil, the 604 atheist. He runs a great channel on YouTube. He's one of the atheists drinking out loud here on this channel. We just do this incredible amount of drinking once a Saturday, once a month, basically. And they found a big blood clot in Neil's leg. Scary stuff, Neil. Scary stuff. But I'm glad that you got it, that they found it. All right. Vive la France. Vive la France. Next story, everyone. French teenagers anti-Islam, I'm going to pronounce it Islam, rant unleashed death threats. Now 13 are on trial. The court case is about online harassment, but it also touches on some of France's most sensitive issues, freedom of expression and blasphemy. This is from the Times, everyone, New York Times. To tell you the truth, I don't know if getting a deluge of death threats should be in the same category as just garden variety online harassment, right? I think the language fails us in a bit, because having someone call you a nasty name on Twitter or Facebook, could be considered harassment. But is that in the same category as getting tons of death threats? I don't think it is. Let's take a look at the story. Paris, the French girl, 16, was sharing highly personal details about her life in a live stream on Instagram, including her attraction to women, just not Black or Arab women, she said, when insults and death threats started pouring into her Instagram account in response to her comments on January 2020, some from viewers saying she was an affront to Islam. The teenager, Mila, dug in, quickly posting another video. I hate religion, she declared. The Quran is a religion of hatred. I wonder if I'm going to get in trouble from YouTube for reading this out loud. The Quran is a religion of hatred. She also used profanity to describe Islam and the crudest of imagery in referring to God. The ensuing onslaught of threats after the video went viral has landed 13 people in court on charges of online harassment. So, woman, teenager, right? Teenager. She's talking about how she's attracted to other women. People said that she was an affront to Islam. She posted another video, basically speaking her own deeply held beliefs about what she thought about God and the Quran. And that just created even more hate, online hate. The case has put a spotlight on the roiling French debate over freedom of expression and blasphemy, especially when it touches on Islam. It is the landmark test for recent legislation that broadens France's definition of cyber harassment in regards to attacks on the internet, where vitriol is plentiful, modulated debate less so. We are setting the rules of what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. Michel Humbert, did I pronounce that right? I'm going to go with that. The presiding judge said in the trial. Some look to history to capture the brutality of what Mila experienced online. Her lawyer said she had been subjected to a digital stoning. The prosecutor in the case spoke of a lynching 2.0. Okay. More than a year after Mila, the New York Times is withholding her last name because she has been subject of harassment, posted her videos, her life remains in a tumult. She lives under police protection, and she no longer attends school in person. The 13 defendants, some teenagers themselves, are on trial in Paris, most accused of making death threats. They face the possibility of jail. The verdict is expected Wednesday. All right, so we know the basic story. What do you think is the defense of those who lobbed death threats at this teenage girl? What do you think they're... Because, you know, when people do shitty things online, when they do something wrong, it's always the same excuses, everyone. It's always... I'm just going to touch on the chat. I'm just going to take a look at the chat. What do you think their excuses are for being horrible to this girl online? I'm just going to touch this right here. Wonder how many true believers have spent that pure atheist bullet points. 604 atheists. All right, let's continue with the story. Where were we? Were we here? No. Let's go down a little bit. Here we go. Some of the defendants said they had no intention of harassing or threatening Mila. They were merely joking, venting, or trying to attract followers, they said. But many of the comments were vitriolic in the extreme. The trial only concerns messages sent in November when Mila posted another video that described her continual online harassment and repeated some of her own crude imagery, which set off a... Yeah, so they were just... These people who were saying, writing death threats against this teenager said they had no intention on harassing her or threatening her. They were just joking. Instead, the police opened an investigation into those who went after her online based on the cyber harassment law passed in 2018. The law enables prosecutors to seek convictions against harassers who knew they were contributing to a broader wave of abuse, even if they did not coordinate with each other, and even if they posted or sent only one comment. That is tough but fair. For those of us who are content creators, or anyone who's online, if someone threatens your life, law enforcement should be involved, right? So, and there's a clear difference between threatening someone's life. I am going to right? I'm going to harm you in some way, and making a joke about someone's religion. Isn't there? Don't you think so? I think so. But I really like the concept of the law, of the cyber harassment law, that enables prosecutors to seek convictions against harassers who knew they were contributing to a broader wave of abuse. Yeah, I like that a lot. The defendants have been charged with online harassment, which carries a sentence of up to 2 years in prison and a fine of 30,000 euros, or nearly $36,000. Those charged with making death threats face up to 3 years in prison and a 45,000 euro fine. The defense lawyers asked why these 13 were chosen when thousands of people attacked Mila online. The prosecutor has said he expects to hold others to account as well. Social media is not a lawless Wild West, said the prosecutor, Gregory Wheel, who heads the new office handling online hate speech and harassment around France. So the defending lawyers were like, well, why are you only picking these 13? And the prosecutor's like, hold on, there'll be others. Don't you worry about that. We're not just picking your defendants out because they're douchebags. See who else. See what's going on here in the chat. You're going back to work, Neil. But I guess you can still work your job while having that blood clot in your leg, I guess, right? Wow. Oh. Dragons in Genesis. Being an affront to Islam equals life goals. Well said. Well said, Dragons. Okay, let's see what else is going on here in the chat. Is atheism transmissible by blood and other fluids? Possibly. We'll have to ask evangelical experts. Hey, Randolph Richardson. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well this morning. All right. Tesla Ranger says, I think they should be threatened with a death penalty. Then they have the court say they were just joking. See how they like it. I like that, Tesla Ranger. I like that a lot. So there we go. 2 cases of free speech. One in Tennessee, where they're trying to take away someone's 69 vanity plate. And France, where the government is appropriately stepping in to prosecute people who threatened this poor girl's life just because she said she didn't like Islam. All right. Let's pivot to something more mundane, like the GOP trying to overthrow the election. The election, the one that happened back then, yes. There's a new thrust, everyone, in the state of Wisconsin to overturn the election. Wisconsin Republicans join investigation frenzy to undercut Trump election loss. All right, let's check it out. Got Rachel right there. Yes, we're on a first name basis.
Like the bizarro world third-party audit that Arizona Republicans have been undertaking in their attempt to undermine the election results. In Wisconsin, they've decided their review will take the form of an investigation. So far, for the investigation, they've hired that Trump-supporting, I don't trust the election results, former state judge. He's going to be overseeing the investigation, along with 2 former police officers, one of whom was previously banned from getting anywhere near polling sites on Election Day in 2008 because he got caught distributing a self-published report full of bogus allegations about voter fraud. So that's going to be who's doing the investigation for Wisconsin Republicans. Last week, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel obtained the contracts that Wisconsin Republicans have entered into with these investigators. So now we know how much taxpayer money is actually going to these guys to do their investigation of the vote. Interestingly, the Journal-Sentinel is also now reporting that one man in Wisconsin has decided he doesn't want to wait for the results of whatever that sham investigation turns up. He instead is going to conduct his own personal review of the 2020 election in Wisconsin. Quote, a New London man has been making copies of ballots in some communities as he conducts his own review of the election that Joe Biden narrowly won in Wisconsin. The man has made copies of ballots in at least 2 Dane County communities, Verona and Westport, as well as other counties that he would not disclose to reporters. In one county, copies of all the ballots from the 2020 election were already posted online, but apparently this guy decided he didn't want to reference those images as posted online. He instead went down to the county and made his own physical copies of the ballots, which I guess is something he's allowed to do, maybe? Republican officials are increasingly around the country engaged in all kinds of weird attempts to undermine the election results and try to say that Trump really won. Wisconsin may be shaping up to be one of the weirder ones. Watch this space.
Oh, Wisconsin. We're just trying to give Arizona a run for their money. Rachel's brain gives me wood. Thank you for sharing that with the group, John Hudson. So yeah, Wisconsin, state Republicans trying to overturn the election, and with a bunch of squirrely people too, of course. Because who else would be engaged in this kind of idiotic behavior, right? Anti-democratic behavior. Anti-democratic in terms of small d democracy, of course, right? All right, stories we've done so far. As we just saw, GOP in Wisconsin wasting taxpayer money with a bunch of idiots trying to overturn the election there. Tennessee, license plate, number 69. This woman had it for 10 years. The state wants it gone. And France versus, I wouldn't even say it's France versus, the state of France versus Islam, to tell you the truth. It's France against online harassment. I wouldn't even say online harassment as much as people meeting out death threats online. Because like I said, I think there's a clear line between, people threatening to kill you and people calling you names. I think there's some kind of line there. All right, you want to do the halftime tummy rub show? Halftime tummy rub show is where we share something funny. We take a deep breath and try to refocus for the rest of the show. And as per my notes, please hit the like button. And if you're on Facebook watching the show, you can head on over to YouTube if you want to join us in the chat. I should also say that we do the 10 a.m. open room where you can join us in the panel and just talk about whatever you want to talk about. That's from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. All right. I'm not going to rub your tummy in. I'm not. I mean, you're too far away anyway, Sammy. You're in Australia. There's no way I have that kind of reach. All right. Let's do something funny.
Rice bread from World War I. This recipe happens to be gluten-free, as if 1918 wasn't miserable enough. We begin with a half cup of white rice. Water! The rice is resigned to be overcooked. Why you gotta say it like that? It sounds like a court order. I hereby sentence you to be overcooked. Fire! Cup and a half of cornmeal. 2 tablespoons of margarine. Then 1.5 cups of milk. Scalded. You useless! Do you mean scalded with an A? He's like, nah fam, that ain't no typo. I want you to yell at your milk. Woo. Well, the rice resigned all right. It is no longer with us. 1 cup exactly. 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Is this bread going to space? Bake for a half hour in a hot oven. Yes, I know it's hot, you get. It's an oven. 400 it is. Hello. Like a really smooth, fluffy cornbread. The rice does more than you think. Thank you.
Of all the recipes that he has, I've shown here from this gentleman, I want to try the rice cake. I'm a big fan of rice pudding. Like, who isn't a fan of rice pudding? But I think the rice cake might not be bad. And sure, 1918. Yeah, the war was still on in 1918. I forget when the treaty was signed or when the hostilities ended. But I'm digressing. Just mentioned World War I, World War II, and I can digress for who knows how long. What's the next story? The New Jersey man who ran afoul of the law for being a big bag of dicks, basically. You might have seen the story before. It's been mucking around the internet. But New Jersey man arrested after calling black neighbor the N-word and monkey. But I just want to let you know, if you haven't noticed the trend here, that his defense is going to be like, but I'm not racist. I didn't mean anything by it. In his tirade, Edward Cagney Matthews, I'm just going to read this like William Shatner from the original Trek. In his tirade, Edward Cagney Matthews. I'm not going to do that, everyone. I'm already irritating myself. All right. In his tirade, Edward Cagney Matthews gave his address and challenged, "Come see me." On Monday, 100 people did. Police in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, arrested a man who went on a 6-minute racist tirade Friday against his neighbors. An interaction caught on camera that led to a community showdown on Monday. If this doesn't get me banned off YouTube, I don't know what does. But between the Islam thing and this, learn your laws. This is not Africa or blah, 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 inaudible, or wherever the F you were, Edward Cagney Matthews says to a neighbor who is black. The man replies in the July 2nd encounter, "I was born in America, sir, and I don't give an F about you." When police arrived, Matthews, 45, told them they had no jurisdiction at his home. You know, everyone thinks that they're a sovereign citizen here in the United States of America, right? I am pretty sure anyone who claims that the government or that the police have no power over them has not read the Constitution. That's my guess right there. When police arrived, Matthews, 45, told them they had no jurisdiction at his home, saying, "Go talk to these effing N-words." When the officer tells Matthews to stop, he responds, "F you, go talk to the N-word and let them know what I'm all about and what effing rights they have." When asked by an officer to stop talking and go back into his home, Matthews refused, claiming he was standing on common property. Now, I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm sure someone probably has commented, "Wow, if this guy was black, he'd probably be shot by now." Yes, that's a high possibility, maybe probability of the event happening. But if you've seen pictures of this gentleman, now there's video, and I decided I wasn't going to show the video of this crazy guy just talking smack. But if there was a poster child for a Trump supporter, this man would be it right here. According to the report, the problem stemmed from issues between Matthews and the Homeowners Association board in the Essex Place condo complex where he lives. But Robinson said he has a history of harassing others. Robinson represents, who's in the condo association. "The guy is off his rocker and they need to get him out," she told Fox 29. "He cannot be racially harassing and assaulting people, spitting on people, busting down doors, breaking windows, and writing White Lives Matter on stuff." Wow. So he has a history of being crazy. Matthews has been charged with harassment and biased intimidation. In an interview with the Philadelphia Inquirer, Matthews says his racist language wasn't meant to be racist and that he used similar language with white people. See, when he says things, when he says things like, you know, go back to Africa, he wasn't being racist, everyone. He wasn't being racist. He says go back to Africa to white people too. So that makes it okay, right? Do you think that's a realistic defense? I don't think that's a realistic defense whatsoever. Checking out the chat. South Carolina are scary and dumb. I have no idea what that is, where that came from. I just first comment I touched on. Rice pudding and raisins, John Hudson, right? Oh, Dee Parks says, "Hey, if you like both history and food, there's a channel here called Tasting History. That's pretty interesting." I might have to try it out. Thank you, Dee Parks. According, this guy, TYT, this guy is a drug dealer who has the cops on his side. The arrest was only because over 100 people were protesting at his house. Yes, 100 people were protesting at his house. And you know what? I just want to say this I just want to touch on this Scott Duke. When I heard the story about this guy, I thought a couple of things. Either the man has a head injury, right? Because when you have a frontal lobe kind of injury, your behavior can spiral out of control. So I thought this man, because he told people where he lived, there was a 6-minute video where this guy was just throwing out this verbal abuse, told people where he lived. So I thought, this is like crazy behavior. He either has to have like a head injury, or maybe he's a drug user, like an abuser, or he's just an evangelical Christian. Sure, maybe that was unfair, everyone. Maybe that was an unfair comment from me personally. All right, but no, when I was reading, it's like, man, this guy might have just a head injury, or looks like he's just an addict, like out of control. But thank you for putting it down. It's that he is a drug dealer, so that helps me get a better picture of the guy. Let's see what else is going on here in the chat. Let's see. Dragons in Genesis. Let me read this silently to myself first before I read it out loud. I called my neighbors clawfoot bastards and ignorant cocks when they came into my yard. They were chickens, so I think I'm allowed. You don't know how nasty roosters are until you own a rooster, or until you interact with a rooster. We had chickens, and one just happened to be a rooster too. Yeah, we didn't order a rooster, but when they're in the egg, everyone. And actually, we got them when they were chicks. But all the chicks, whether they're a hen or a rooster, they just look the same. And it turned out, even though we ordered nothing but hens, a rooster got in there. And roosters are nasty creatures. All right, let's see. Yes, John Hudson. A brain injury will cause Trumpism. A mild head injury will cause disordered thinking, a lack of impulse control, poor executive functions, basically knocking out one's ability to be a skeptic in many cases. So yes, brain injury can turn you into a Trump supporter. And Dee Parks, sovereign citizens only in America. That's right. All right. I would be remiss, everyone, because we talk about, this has been one of the few episodes that we haven't talked about COVID or the Delta variant. But I wanted to share with you this video. It's about the Israeli study that talked about the Pfizer vaccine, and how well it does against the Delta variant. So I wanted to share with you this video about a recent study. Let's see what we're going to do here. Pfizer vaccine less effective against the Delta variant. That's the name of the video, everyone. And this is from The Hill, a reputable news source here. And let's check it out. So look, we've covered this story a number of times about Israel. They went maskless at a certain point. They had a few breakthrough infections this we like I said, we've covered this story a number of times, but it's worth reiterating, at least for people here in the States, right, where vaccination rates are higher than many other places in the world, that we're not out of the woods, especially if you are in an area that has low vaccination rates. I looked at a map yesterday. I don't know if anyone else saw this. I'm talking to the microphone again. It's microphone. Did you see this map? What map is that, Andy? I'm glad that you asked. It's a map about how many new infections are occurring. And it turns out South Carolina is red hot with infections. And of course, Missouri is red hot with infections too of the Delta variant and of coronavirus. So even though, and the last time I saw it, the CDC is still not recommending people to mask indoors. Different localities are. I know that Los Angeles is telling people to mask up when they're inside. So once again, if you're in an area, I mask up when I'm inside. I'm just going to let you know that right now. All right, last, what have we done? What are we doing here? Why are we here? To laugh, to know things, to look into the crystal ball into the future? Yeah, I said that. One of the few channels, actually, that makes predictions about things here. It isn't just about reporting the news or going through the he said, she said of the world, but I make predictions here. Like Trump being elected, did that prediction. I banged on a pot for months between November 3rd and January 6th. I always said it was double death overtime during that period, and it wasn't over until the electoral votes were counted in DC. That was just a bit of me saying I'm right occasionally. All right, news stories. We already know the news stories. You've been watching. You've been paying attention. All right. I got to put googly eyes on the mic, and you know what? The microphone does need its own voice. The ventriloquist equipment, yes, that is also correct. But I do need the googly eyes, and you know what? I think I'm gonna have to go out and buy some, because we have small googly eyes here, but we don't have properly large googly eyes for the mic. They're recommending masks in LA, and that's about it. Yeah, that's what I read too. Fi. All right. What are we doing now? Fox News weather. I wrote a bit about this. So let me tell you about the joke first. The satirical post I wrote on my blog, Laughing in Disbelief. Sure, millions of people have read it. I know only a few of you know who I am. Millions of people have read my blog over the years. I just like to point that out every once in a while. Every once in a while. So besides this, I wrote a post about Marjorie Taylor Greene being the weather girl for the news, Fox weather. Fox News is starting a weather channel. Yeah, the satirical part is Marjorie Greene being a weather girl. She's not. The real part of the story is that Fox News is launching, or Fox Corp is launching, a 24-hour streaming weather channel. That is true. That is real. Let's take a look at the story, everyone. The Fox News channel changes the climate for weather TV. Another story from the Times. Look at that. Legitimate news sources, everyone. Later this year, Rupert Murdoch is set to debut Fox Weather, a 24-hour streaming channel that promises to do for 7-day forecasts what Fox has done for American politics, financial news, and sports. Not to be outdone, the Weather Channel, granddaddy of television meteorology, announced the creation of a new streaming service, Weather Channel Plus, that the channel believes could reach 30 million subscribers by 2026. Amid a waning appetite for political news and a post-Trump era, media executives are realizing that demand for weather updates is ubiquitous, and for an increasing swath of the country, a matter of urgent concern. In the past week alone, temperatures in the Pacific Northwest broke records, wildfires burned in Colorado, and tropical storm Elsa strengthened into a hurricane over the Atlantic Ocean. I'm just going to say the obvious. supporters of Fox News, oligarchs have pumped millions, hundreds of millions of tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, creating the climate crisis that we're on. And now they're looking to cash in further on the climate crisis by launching this Weather Channel. And what's the over-under? What are the odds that the Weather Channel is going to be anti-climate change? What are the odds that they're going to be so-called Fox News experts coming on that channel telling you, there's no such thing as man-made climate change, right? And this is such a perfect thing for Fox because, there's a lot of people out there, elderly people. I know that my dad used to watch the Weather Channel all the time. He would just have it on as background noise. And I tell you, if there's another way to spread misinformation about the global climate crisis, this is it. This is it. Fox Weather. At CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, average viewership for the first half of 2021 fell 38% from a year prior. However, the audience for the Weather Channel is up 7%. All the networks are ramping up for this, says Jay Suarez, co-president of United Talent Agency, who oversees its TV division. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out climate change and the environment will be the story for the next decade. I love the fact, and this is, you can tell he's an idiot, right? One, because he works in TV. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That's not right either. You shouldn't call TV executives idiots. But, okay. But the idea that climate crisis is going to be the story of the decade as against to several decades, a century maybe, depending on how bad it is. That's I don't know. I just lost a couple of brain cells just thinking about what he just said. Inside Murdoch's company, the view is that sometimes staged world of weather TV is ripe for disruption. Fox is hiring a throng of meteorologists and weather data analysts and climate change deniers. I'm sorry, I just threw that in there. That's not in the story. For the venture, which includes a flashy multi-million-dollar studio in its Midtown Manhattan headquarters. The service will cover major national weather events and integrate dozens of local forecasters from Fox's regional affiliate stations. The Weather Channel is already throwing some shade. They couldn't even get a headline right about Tropical Storm Bill, said Nora Zimmett, the network's chief content officer, referring to NotFoxNews.com article that some meteorologists criticized because it claimed that a relatively benign storm posed a massive risk to the East Coast. So that's right. Religion poisons everything. Late-stage capitalism poisons everything. And following that logic, Fox News is going to be ruining the weather too. Soon, we'll have to argue about misinformation from the Fox News 24-hour streaming weather channel. Something to look forward to. Cryptameria says, it was a good weather channel when I had cable. A good hangover channel. Yeah, I could see that. The Weather Channel, sure. Theo says, a sensational weather channel, always pretending the apocalypse is on. Seems like a fun idea. Yeah, if you and once again, it's a brilliant idea for Fox to do this, because once again, Fox loves to keep its audience agitated and in panic and stupid. So if they can go from critical race theory, oh my God, critical race theory is destroying America, from Fox News, to, oh my God, Democrats and those dreaded environmentalists are destroying our weather, which, that's how they're going to spin it. They're going to spin the fact that environmentalists are the ones who are making the weather crazy. That's. B, glad to see that you're here. Hit that like button, slackers. Thank you. The impending hot-pocalypse, indeed. Well, it's not even an impending hot-pocalypse. I think we're in the hot-pocalypse right now. But now, for some reason, I'm thinking about Hot Pockets. Jessi Bear points out, I want to say the age group that they are marketing to is dwindling. Don't know if anyone watches the weather, phone, or Ask Alexa. Yeah, I think some people do, Jessi Bear. I think some people may be watching. Like I said, a certain demographic of folks. Scott Duke points out, all comedians should have their own supply of googly eyes and Groucho Marx glasses. But I can get behind that. All right, so we're running to the end of the show. It's hard to believe we've covered all of the Michigas, Yiddish craziness, and covered Tennessee, France. It was a bunch of things. We covered stuff today, in-depth analysis of stuff, and that's what you've come to expect from the Disappointed Cat Morning Show, everyone. In-depth analysis of stuff. Let's put a bow on this. Let's do something funny. Maybe something feline related too. I think someone needs to get that cat into a sleep study, right? My cat, Biscuit, 7 pounds maybe, but that cat snores too. Not as bad as the cat we just saw, but my cat snores quite a bit, like loudly for the cat that size. All right, everyone, thanks for showing up. Oh, wow, I forgot to mention this. There are no ads. There are no ads here, right? There used to be ads, but then I took the ads off because I hate ads. Don't want to be complicit in whatever YouTube fuckery that YouTube is doing with people buying crap that they don't need. So, hey, this is completely viewer supported. So it's by YouTube members and patrons. That's how this thing works here. So if you can donate a shekel or two, a couple of bucks a month, that would be fantastic. If you cannot, then believe me, I understand that. I understand that you're just trying to make ends meet, and you're trying to save up money, and you're trying to fund your IRA or whatever you're trying to do. So, Andy, you just spent more time telling people not to contribute to the channel than contributing to the channel. I know I'm not very good at this. I know that. I know I'm not very good at asking people for money. But hey, we're doing this thing, being completely tangential here for a minute before I show you the video, the thank you video for YouTube patrons, members and patrons. We're doing the show at 10 o'clock, everyone. It's an open room. I hope you pop in. Hope you pop on the channel. I mean, for the panel too. That would be fantastic, right? All right. Going to drop the thank you video right now. I'll see you at 10.